This is session 5 of God's preparation. And this week we've looked at how God was preparing the world for the coming of Jesus. He chose a race for himself to reveal who he was, and he used them to show the world that there was only one God. The Egyptians saw that all their gods were powerless in the face of the God of the Hebrews. And then he spread his people across the eastern Middle East area to introduce the notion of one God to those people. He showed the people of the wealthy nations of Babylon and Persia that wealth and power were of no use and could not satisfy the human soul. Their own religions had nothing to offer when the wealth and power ran out. And so it was the Hebrew people scattered amongst them who were able to show them the idea of a Messiah who would come and rule. He then used the Greek Empire with all its brilliance, seeking after perfection, to open up people's minds to new ideas and to introduce a common language across the area, and yet to come to understand that the perfect human being could not be created by human endeavour. Finally, he used Rome to make travel through the area very easy, but also to show that power which used harsh and brutal means to be maintained was not the answer either. The world was prepared to welcome a Saviour, the one true God, who would satisfy all human longings. He needed neither wealth nor power, nor human brilliance or brutal control. A God who came in love, offering mercy and grace. Now it's interesting to note how the 4 Gospels that tell the story of Jesus, the ones that are recognised by the church and were from very early times, recognised as true accounts of Jesus. There were other Gospels written, but they have not been accepted as having real credence. They're not seen as reliable sources. But the church accepted these 4 as having been God-inspired. And what I find interesting is the difference between the 4 of them. Each one speaks to a different group of people. Matthew was written to the Jewish people. He wanted to show them that right through their scriptures, it had pointed to Jesus. And that's why you have so many Old Testament quotes in Matthew's Gospel. Because he's saying to them, look at your own scriptures. They're all telling us about Jesus. Mark was written for a Roman audience, the people who were people of direct action, power and politics. If you read straight through the book of Mark, you realise that it's a very concise and fast-moving book. Many times we read the word immediately. Mark is portraying Jesus as a man of action to the Roman people. Then we have Luke. Luke went with Paul on much of his missionary journeys. In fact, at one stage, Paul writes, "Only Luke is still with me." Luke's gospel would appeal to that Greek influence because he presents Jesus as the man of perfection, the very thing that the Greeks sought after. Then comes John. He's the last of the Gospels in time, but very profound. Towards the end of the book, he writes this: "These things are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name." In fact, right through John's book, he talks about Jesus bringing life. This book would have appealed greatly to those who lived in the Eastern Empire, which had proved itself bankrupt and whose religions had absolutely nothing to offer them. Not only did God prepare the world for the coming of Jesus, but he made sure that every part of the world could hear the gospel in a form that they would understand.
Holy words long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart, or let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope, give us strength, help us go. In this world, where'er we roam, ancient words will guide us home. Ancient words, ever true, sacrifice. Oh, heed the faithful words of Christ. Holy words long preserved for our walk in this world. They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Ancient words, ever true, changing